Positive and normative statements, one of the topics in the advanced level economics. There is a big distinction, okay, the difference between facts and value judgments, or what we call the opinions. So at this time, we're going to differentiate the two. And it's very important in our subject to be able to identify and distinguish between two different types of statement. The normative statement, all about the norms, the values of the person's expression about a statement, and another one is the positive statement, which is actually factually correct. So this topic is pretty easy, and at the same time, you will able to identify later on the differences between the two. Okay. When we say positive statements, these are objective type. It can be tested. It's all about the facts, very measurable, and proven true or false. And these statements describe the world as it is and not how it should be. So there are clues or keywords that you can easily identify so that you can know if the statement is positive. For example, if there's a data in the statement, obviously it's a positive. If there's a cause and effect, numbers because it's measurable. And of course, some words like is, will, has, and done. On the other hand, when we say normative statements, these are opinion based and very subjective, and it's all about the value judgments, or also known as the beliefs. So they give us also the suggestion on how things ought or should be. So the clues here are should, okay, the word should, ought, better, fair, and fair, desirable, or need to. So let's see why the positive and normative statements are very essential in economics. Because we know that economics is science and a social discipline. These are like combination of social science and even science. So it means that uh, economics deals with facts and values. So if we understand the difference between positive and normative statements, it will help us, okay, school students, the economists, and even the policymakers make better decisions. So it's more into decision making. What else? Positive statements really help us to understand the reality of the economy because these statements describe what is really happening in the world, in our economy, because they are testable, there are bases, there are evidences, and these evidences make them very useful for analysis and prediction. So economists really use positive statements for building models, testing the hypothesis, and even evaluate even the outcomes. That's why there's a cause and effect. On the other hand, normative statements give us guidance in the policymaking and debate. So they express opinions or values about what should happen. And these are very important for the discussion of fairness, ethics, and priorities. So let's see. Uh, the first statement, the unemployment rate in Libya rose by 2% last year. So it's very obvious you have the 2% rose or increase by 2% last year, the unemployment rate. So there is a measurable data. Therefore, it is a positive statement. Second, the government should provide free healthcare to all citizens. The word is should. Obviously, it is a normative statement. The third is higher taxes reduce disposable income. So, what was the cause of income, disposable income? The higher taxes. What's the effect of higher taxes? It is the decrease of the income. So there is a cause and effect Definitely, it's a positive statement. Number four, it is better to spend money on education than defense. Obviously, there is a judgment between spending money on education and defense. So, this is a normative statement. Okay, fifth item, interest rates are currently at 5%. This is a current fact because number one, it's measurable. There's a 5%. Another, there's a use of R. These are the clues for the positive statements. And last is the central bank ought or must lower the interest rates to boost the growth. So this statement used the clue ought to or need to, which means that it is a normative statement. Okay, this time we're going to use some questions from the past papers of Cambridge A level, and we're going to I'm going to explain it as much as I can, okay, and give you some answers. The first is, what is the best definition of a positive economic statement? So obviously, you have the keyword positive. Is it a statement that is based on facts that can be tested? This one is very obvious answer, right? Fact and can be tested, or B, a statement that attempts to influence economic decision. So you have the keyword again, which is kind of tricky, attempts, and you have the word influence. Letter C, a statement that is subjective. So this one is obviously not a positive economic statement because when we say subjective, it is the opposite of objective, and subjective is normative. And letter D, an encouraging economic update of the opinion of the central bank. So you have the keyword opinion, and opinion is not really, excuse me, a positive economic statement, but rather a normative. So again, letter A is the correct answer because positive economic statement is objective and factual. Okay, you have the word fact, FACT. It can be tested, it can be measured, and it describes the economy as it is and how it should be. So here, the definition of positive economic statement is letter A. Now, how about letter B? A statement that attempts to influence economic decision. Why the answer is not letter B? Because letter B is all about influencing, okay, influencing the decisions, which is more in line with the normative statement. Letter C, it describes, okay, it's the subjective, it describes the normative statement. And letter D, you have the word opinion, and it is not a testable fact. So the answer for number one is letter A. Okay, number two. Which statement is a normative normative statement? Is it A, aggregate demand will increase following a decrease of interest rate? So do not be confused. Maybe there are some big words here. No. Okay. So let's analyze letter A. Aggregate demand, you have the word will increase. Okay, so you have the word will increase following a decrease of interest rates. So what happened? Um, what are the two items which are evident here? One is the aggregate demand and then interest rate. So what will happen to aggregate demand? It will increase. Why? Um, um, After there's a decrease of aggregate demand, what will happen? There's a decrease of interest rates. So there is the cause and effect relationship. If there is a cause and effect relationship, it means that it is a positive statement. And of course, aggregate demand is the total demand of for goods and services in an economy, and it will increase. You have the words will increase. It means that it's a prediction, meaning to say that it's something we expect to happen. And then What's going to happen following a decrease of interest rates? So lower interest rates make borrowing the cheaper, so the people spend more. So letter A is not a normative statement. It is a positive, um, because there's a prediction. Okay, letter B, a rise of unemployment will increase inflationary pressures. So when we say unemployment, it is when people who want to work but cannot find jobs, and inflationary pressures are the forces that push the prices up. And again, you have the keyword will decrease. Will decrease is again another prediction. And it says that inflation will go down if unemployment goes up. So this statement is not a normative, but rather a positive, because there is a factual claim based on the economic theories, because this letter B is economic theory. So it can be tested with data. Okay, how about letter C? The incentive to work will rise will rise if benefit payments are reduced. So when we say incentive to work, it means the motivation or reason for people to get a job. And benefit payments, um, is what we call the money given by the government to people who are unemployed or with low income. So here, it will rise. So you have the keyword will rise, which means it suggests that people will be more motivated to work if they get less support. Okay, so why this one is positive? Because this is a hypothesis about behavior. So economists can study how people respond to changes in benefits. And again, it is a cause and effect. Now, how about letter D? Unsustainable economic growth is more harmful to the economy than hyperinflation. When we say unsustainable economic growth, it means that the growth that cannot continue long term, because you have the word unsustainable. Okay, unsustainable means like cannot continue long term, which might cause problems like pollution, like debt. And when we say hyperinflation, it means that there's an extremely fast and damaging rise of the prices. Um, extremely, yeah, very fast um, prices of goods and services. Okay, yeah, which means that the term is more harmful, which is a judgment, because saying one problem is worse than the others. So this letter D is the answer, normative. Why? Because it's an opinion. Different people might disagree with this statement because you cannot test it. You cannot test the statement, which one is more harmful. Okay, the unsustainable economic growth or the economy than hyperinflation. So there are two forces for this letter D, and you give an opinion which one is more harmful. So letter D is the correct answer. Okay, which one is a normative statement? Okay, the third question is, what is a normative economic action based on? So obviously the answer is yeah, letter C, opinion. Why? Because a normative economic action is based on the value judgment. And when we say value judgment, it's about someone's belief about what should happen in the economy. So it's all about the opinions, not really the facts. How about letter A? Obviously, right? Because facts are the basis of the positive economic actions. So it's not related with normative. Letter B, when we say market forces, When we say market forces, we're talking about supply and demand. So they are actually the market forces, the supply and demand, they are part of positive analysis. They're okay. Okay. Market forces are another example for market forces are supply and demand. It really influenced the economic outcomes. It really influenced. It has a huge effect on our economy, on the effects. There are effects on in our economy, but they don't really express opinions or values. Letter D, the price changes. Price changes are economic data, obviously, right? Because they are considered as part or included in the positive analysis. So, not value based decision. So, again, market forces, when we talk about market forces, we're talking about the supply and demand, price changes. Obviously, it has a proof for the positive analyses, and of course, facts are the basis for positive economic actions. So the answer for number three is letter C. Okay. Number four, um, which list has the most words that are more likely to relate to a positive statement than a normative statement? So we are going to identify which words, okay, which items, group of words have this has positive statement words. Okay. Okay, when this one is really easy because the answer here is letter D. Letter D, when we say actual, it refers to something that is real. Okay. When we say ethics, we're talking about okay, although like it sounds like values, but in this context, it really helps to distinguish between ethical debates and factual analysis. Of course, when we say fact, it is connected with positive statement. The word was, okay, it is a past tense verb, and um, it's often used in factual descriptions, and of course, testable. It means it's a key clue for a positive statement. So obviously, it's letter D. But why A, B, C are wrong? Because when we say um, better, should, value, emotion, it all signal opinions or feelings for letter A, which are normative. When we say B, bias, objective, ought, opinion, taste, uh, it's all about subjectivity. Okay, very subjective. And positive statements are objective. Letter C, contestable is motive, subjective, moral. Okay, the word is a positive statement. Okay, but then again, all of them like motive, subjective, moral, and contestable um, clearly indicate that these are normative. Although like contestable can apply to positive and normative, but not really clearly positive. So letter C, the contestable here is normative. So the obvious answer is letter D. Okay, number five, food prices in a country increased by 20% in 3 months due or because to an infectious virus. Which statement could cause of this rise in food prices is normative? Okay, so you've got here, okay, you have here about the food prices. There's an increase of 20% in 3 months due to because of a virus. Which one is normative? Okay. Um, the answer here is let's see, letter A. Letter A is the It's a normative. Okay, let's start with why letter A is a normative statement. Okay, number one is because of this. Consumers are scared. Okay, the word scared, we're scared of running out of food. The word scared really reflects an emotion. It really reflects your feelings, and it's not really a measurable fact. Okay, this is a very subjective description or interpretation of consumer behavior, and you cannot test or prove how scared the people were because it's only based on opinion or the perception. So obviously it's letter A. But how about letter B? Farm workers demanded higher wages to cover extra hours work. Now, this is a factual claim for the farm worker behavior. So the farm workers they ask for higher wages, okay, higher payments. Why? Just to cover extra hours work. So it can be verified through. It can be verified by records. So this letter B, it is a positive statement. Okay, letter C. Supply of foreign food was reduced because of closed border. This is an example of a positive statement under the cause and effect. Why? Why was why do you think that the supply of foreign food was reduced? It's because the borders are closed. So there is a cause effect statement, and it can be tested, okay, using the trade and border data. So there will be evidence for letter C. And for letter D, transport costs increased by 10%. Again, you have the 10%, which means that there is a numerical fact and it's measurable and it's testable. So therefore, letter D is positive. Number five is normative because the word scared, which is very subjective and it reflects an emotion and a feeling. It's only an opinion. It's not measurable. Okay, no data at all. Okay, number six. Which statement by a company is normative? Okay, let's have ABCD. In the past 3 years, we have carried out the biggest merger acquisition in the past 3 years. Okay. The business has fallen behind competitors and needs to improve its ethical standards. The growth of the business has been the retail. The structure of the business has been simplified. Okay. The answer here is letter B. Let me put here. Okay, why it's letter B? Okay, number one, it has a value judgment. Okay, um, because of the clue needs to improve. You have to improve. There's a need to improve its ethical standard. It is an opinion about what should happen. Okay, there is an opinion. There's a need to improve. There's another one. Another is the phrase fallen behind competitors. Okay, another clue fallen behind competitors. It may be based on data, but it's the recommendation to improve the ethics, which is very subjective. So different people may disagree on what ethical standards mean or whether you need to improve. And for letter B, you cannot really measure whether this ethical standard should be improved. Um, it's based on beliefs and values. So again, letter B is a normative statement. But how about letter A, C, and D? Okay, A, C, and D are positive statements. Why? Okay, number one, number letter A, in the past 3 years, we've carried out the biggest merger acquisition in the group's history. So you have here a factual claim. There's a claim about the business event, and it can be verified using, of course, the company's records. Okay, the biggest merger acquisition. over the past 3 years. So there is an evidence. There will be an evidence that there's the merging um, of businesses. Okay, letter C, the growth of the business has been retail and financial services. Again, this letter C describes where growth happened and is based on data. Um, letter D, the structure of the business has been simplified. This is a descriptive statement about the changes in the organization. Okay, the structure of the business has been made simple, so it can be confirmed by looking. You can confirm the letter D. There will be an evidence by looking on the at the company statements or documents. So therefore, A, C, and D, they are positive statements because you will easily get evidences rather than letter B. Okay. Number seven, the statements are from the report by the water company that supplies water to homes and businesses. Which statement is normative? Um, it is important that we continue to invest in our infrastructure. This is a normative statement. Why? Because of the phrase, it is important. Okay, this part, it is important. It's so obvious that it expresses a value judgment. The term, it is important, it really reflects the company's opinions about what should happen. Okay, this is a clue. It is important. It is not a fact that can be tested. It cannot be measured. So maybe different people might disagree on whether continued investments are really important, and that makes it really subjective. And again, you have the clue. It is important. Okay. Letter B. How about B, C, and D? B, C, and D are obviously positive statements. Why? Okay, letter A. Our investment will have wider benefits, attracting visitors to the region. This is a prediction. It talks about the effects of the investment, and it can be tested by looking at the visitors number and regional impact. Okay, so B is positive. Letter C, we are investing more than ever in the region. This is a factual claim. Okay, this is a factual claim about the level of investment, and it can be really verified. For letter C, um, there will be some evidences through the financial records because we are investing more than ever in the region. And what is your claim? How will you know, or how are you going to be sure that there will be more investment? Yeah, look at the data. There is a supporting data. Letter D, we use local suppliers on construction projects, which boost or increase the local economy. This is what we call the cause and effect, okay, that can be really measured through the spending data and the employment record. So again, when we use the local suppliers and economic projects, what's gonna happen? It will boost the local economy. So obviously, this is a cause and effect, and this is a positive statement. Okay, how about number 8? The statements refer to the proposal to build another runway at London's Heathrow Airport. Which one is normative? Again, obviously, you have letter D. Why letter D? Again, you have the word. You have the terms we should. Okay, we should. The word should really signals a value judgment. So it really expresses the term. Okay, we should. Those are the clues. It really expresses the opinion about what must be happened. Okay, and it reflects a recommendation or belief, and it's not really a fact. So yeah, letter D is the correct answer. How about letter A? Heathrow is the UK's busiest airport. It has more flights than any other European airport. This is a factual claim, okay? And you can verify it using some data, like the flight data. So it's a positive. Letter B, the airport is highly competitive, but there is spare capacity. Letter B, this statement describes the current situation of the airport, and it can be measured. Okay, it can be tested. There are evidences. Letter C, the potential net benefit of expansion is around 5 billion over 70 years. This is a quantitative estimate, which means that it's based on economic modeling and projections. So again, it is a positive statement. Number nine, the government proposes to um, uh, okay. Let me take a look at number eight. Take note. If a statement tells you what it is or what will happen, or it can be checked or measured, it is a positive. If it tells you what should happen or includes opinions, again, it's normative. If there's a prediction and there's a certain number on that prediction, then it means it's a positive statement. Okay, number nine. Proposes to introduce a road congestion charge, which would require motorists to pay a toll for road use. Which statement relating to the proposal is normative? So we're talking about the opinions here. Okay. Um, there are lots of will. You have, okay, letter A, you have will benefit. Okay. The motorists with higher incomes will be prepared to pay the charge for the return during times. Motorists with low incomes will not be able to afford, and you have letter D will be unfair. Okay, number nine is you have the will. Okay, let's have letter A. We're going to identify which one is normative. So letter A, bus passengers will benefit at the expense of the motorists. So this one is what we call a prediction. Okay, let's see. Okay, this one is prediction. So this letter A statement is a prediction about who gains and who loses. Okay, bus passengers will benefit. Okay, who will not benefit the motorists. And it can be tested by looking at travel times. It can be tested by checking the costs, by the usage of data. So again, this statement is a positive because it will rely on the data. Letter B, motorists with high incomes will be prepared to pay the charge in return for reduced journey times. This one is again another example of, yeah, prediction of a prediction. This one is a behavioral prediction based on income and preferences. And it can be studied using the survey, it can be studied using the traffic data. So again, there will be some evidences to support this statement. Okay, letter C. Motorists will lower incomes will not be able to afford to use the roads. So this one is a claim. Okay, so this letter C is a claim about how affordable the service is. So it can be also tested using the income data and the toll of the prices. So how about letter D? Why do you think might be, might be a normative statement? Okay, number one, obvious answer, it's because of the unfair. So the word unfair really expresses the value judgment. Okay, again, let me type value judgment. Value judgment. The word unfair, it means it connotates value judgment, which is an opinion about justice and equity. It reflects, letter D, a belief about what is right or wrong, not a fact, and that can be tested. And of course, different people may disagree on whether the proposal is fair. That makes it really subjective. So, letter D is uh, normative statements. Again, normative statements include words like should, it should be fair, unfair, better, because these words really express opinions and beliefs. Okay, let's have number 10. Going to be finished. Okay, number 10. Which statement about economic is not correct? Okay, this one is really okay. This one is letter D. The value of goods and services involves purely objective judgment. No, because the value of a good or service is often subjective, not purely objective, because it depends on your personal preferences. It depends on the cultural context. It depends on your income. It depends on your individual needs and wants. So, for example, I may value some luxury cars. Some people do not like it. So in economics, we're talking about also utility, which is satisfaction. And as I told you, like our utility is different from each other. So the value is not purely objective. It's kind of subjective. So it's really subjective. So A, B, C are correct except for letter D. Okay, the value is purely subjective, kind of subjective. Number 11, which one is a, let's see, which one is a positive statement? Which one is a positive statement? The fall of value. Okay, so you have the word will make Chinese, okay, a fall of value in the Chinese yuan against the US dollar will make Chinese goods more price competitive in the USA. Direct taxes are the best fiscal instrument because we're talking about positive, right? Okay, it's the best fiscal instrument. So you have the keyword. The most important, okay, you have the keyword most important, and you have the should not. Okay, very quick one. So letter D is not a positive statement because you have the word should not. Okay, how about letter C? Letter C, because the terms most important, these things are very subjective. It depends on personal or political views. So this letter C is normative. Letter B, you have the word best, and best really shows the value judgment. Okay, it's someone's opinion, not the general one. And different economists and politicians might disagree for letter B, but again, um, it's not the best fiscal instrument to direct taxes. Letter A is the correct answer. It is a positive statement because it is a prediction again. This one is what you call, okay, let me type, factual prediction. It's a factual prediction based on economic theory. It also describes the cause and effect. Okay, what will happen if there's a fall in the value of Chinese yuan? Okay, so there will be more competitive price. So there is also let's see, cause and effect. So the answer for number 11 is letter A. And I guess last number, oh, last two. Yeah, a government proposes to introduce road I think that we're done with number 12. Number 12 is Okay, you have this one, letter D. Why? Because of the word unfair. Number 13, let's see, number 13. Okay, number 13 is which comment relating to the introduction of charges from previously is normative. Again, normative. So you have letter A will be able, and then you have will be unfair. So obviously this is the answer, right? And then letter C is will pay, and letter D is will fall. Will fall. Okay. Number 13. Okay, the answer is letter B because of the word will and fair. Will and fair. Yeah. Um, the word unfair, it expresses a value judgment. It's an opinion. It's very subjective. Letter A, it is what we call a prediction. Prediction. Letter C, it's what we call a factual claim. And letter D is you have the word fall, you have the cause and effect. Yeah, that's it. I hope that you've learned something, and thank you so much.